Hi, I'm Heather coming to you live from the Hangout space in the Hub. And we are in swings, folks, for sure. I am here with Sonia Cuff, who is going to share her story about going from an introvert to a cloud advocate. Hello, Sonia.
Hi there. It's so great to be here in Orlando.
Wonderful. And I think we have a friend behind us. Who is that?
So well spotted. This is Dundee, the Down Under dinosaur. He's one of the very few Microsoft ceramic dinosaurs we've got around the place. And Rob's actually got a session this week on how the dinosaurs came about and how we built a community around them.
Fantastic. Yeah, there's a few dinosaurs in our community. We've got Thready, we've got a few Rexes around. Humans in IT has one as well. So welcome, Dundee. So you have many sessions. People have seen you all day on the live stage talking about all kinds of things. And so how many sessions do you have here at Ignite?
I have 3 sessions tomorrow and one big one on Wednesday.
Tell me how many people are coming?
At the moment, I think we're looking at about 4,000 people to come to AFUN 90, which is Azure Identity Fundamentals. We're going to talk a little bit about Azure Active Directory, on-prem Active Directory, Microsoft accounts, and kind of how they all fit together.
Wow. 4,000, she said. Wow, I have to say about that. That's awesome. No pressure whatsoever. So we're talking a little bit about your moving from introvert to cloud advocate. So you're an introvert, but you've been on stage. You're speaking to 4,000 people. Will you talk about that a little bit to everybody?
Yeah, I do. I'm still very much an introvert, despite the public profile that I have. And it's interesting because people think that an introvert is somebody that hides behind their computer and they have their headphones on and they don't want to deal with people. And yet I get up on a stage and the big rooms don't scare me. But by the end of this conference, I will be very drained and I will need my rest and I will not want to talk to any other human unless they are directly related to me.
I understand that completely in a way. I think I'm a little bit of both. So, I think RuPaul said something about being an introvert masquerading as an extrovert. So you would think that person would be super introverted, but is not, right? So do you find that with getting back to it, or what are the things you do to kind of renew yourself after a conference like this?
Well, to start with, I pace myself. So I make sure that I don't go full capacity from day one all the time. I make sure that I put in those rest periods as well. And I think we need to get rid of the guilt about saying no to things. There are a lot of opportunities, even outside of the sessions, to go and socialise with people. And I have to be a little bit careful about what I'm saying yes and no to. And then I always make sure that after the long trip back to Australia, there's a good couple of weekends in there where I have nothing planned at all because I just need that time to re-energize again.
Awesome. Yeah, last year at Ignite, you did an amazing session. She had a session about burnout that had probably 1,000 people in it, and it was so popular. Will you talk a little bit about that session as well, leading into this one about being an introvert?
Yeah, so that is the hardest talk and the most rewarding talk I've ever given. I still give it at conferences at the moment. It's online if you want to try and find the recording. And it kind of is a little bit of a catalyst. I think it's a nod to some of my introversion, but it's really reflective of everybody in our industry having such a passion for what they do. We love our jobs and we tend to, run onto them a bit too hard sometimes to our detriment.
Yeah, absolutely. You inspired me to talk a little bit about that as well. So thank you so much for that. So yeah, do check that out. Sonia writes beautifully about all of these issues. So let's talk about your Twitter handle so everybody knows where to catch you. I'm sure they do already, but where are you on Twitter?
I'm really easy to find. I'm at Sonia Cuff.
That's awesome. And you have a really cool blog that I was looking up, and it's the itopstalk.com. Will you tell everybody about that a little bit?
So my team here at Microsoft of Cloud Advocates, we talk to IT pros and sysadmins, whether or not you're running workloads on-prem, you're in a hybrid scenario, or whether you've gone fully to Azure. And we talk about all those kind of sysadmin IT operations kind of concepts. And itopstalk.com is what we came up with as our short link to be able to find all our latest and greatest articles about those kind of topics. We very much focus on scenarios and context, and then tell you where you can find more at places like docs.microsoft.com.
That's awesome. And so Sonia also was very involved with Microsoft Ignite, the tour last year, probably will be again this year. Will you talk a little bit about what you're doing on the tour, learning paths, all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of an extension of the way that we like to produce content. It's about taking what you can do with the Microsoft platforms and wrap them in this problem-solving context. If I'm a customer and I've got this, or I want to try and do that, how do I kind of string that together as a story? And the learning paths are tying those concepts together so they build on each other.
That's awesome. And getting back to your introvert talk, so what are some tips and tricks for introverts and maybe some even first timers that are here about, meeting people and maybe how to approach others or, all those good things that I know you're going to share in your session, but a couple of tips if you would.
Yeah. So one tip in particular is to have a question in mind, have an opening line. Introverts don't tend to like small talk. We find these sort of networking situations a little bit awkward, standing around with strangers, talking about random things. And so I have a couple of lines like, what have you enjoyed today at the conference the most? What are you looking forward to seeing? What have you learned today that you're going to take back and do something with in your organisation? So those kind of opening liners actually start a much more deep conversation than just, how are you doing? Are you enjoying the conference?
Yeah, that's almost a closed question and not an open-ended question because you say fine and then you're done, right? Someone was I don't know if it was with us, but they were talking about making a circle instead of a U. So for those of you who aren't maybe so introverted, bringing open your circle of people that you're standing around and making it a U to make it inviting for folks to jump into that. Have you heard that one too?
Yeah, I've also heard that called the Pac-Man, because it really does look like the Pac-Man shape of leaving a gap in those circles that you're gathering with to make it inviting for someone to come and join you.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I don't know, I think introverts tend to be people who are also really good listeners. I think people hang back and listen well. Is that sort of something you find in other introverts as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not that introverts are antisocial, it's that we are selectively social. So when we find a group of people who have got the same kind of interests that we have, or we get on a topic that we're passionate about, we can be the biggest talkers in the room. Yeah.
That's awesome. And are you doing anything with the Humans of IT section this year? I mean, I know the introverts is. Is that your one session over there? That's the one session, yeah. And were you at the pre-day at all?
No, I wasn't. Cloud Advocate life means that I had teamwork and rehearsals and all those fun things that come with having a blue badge that you get to do before the doors open to the public.
Yeah, absolutely. And the little origin story, if you don't mind. Where are you from? Tell everybody about that, will you?
Well, let's not talk about the rugby because I'm actually from New Zealand and my beloved All Blacks lost, but I've been living in Australia for the last 15 years and I'm going for citizenship. That still doesn't mean I'm going to support the Wallabies. Yeah, it's a long story.
Fair enough. I got to go to New Zealand and Australia this year, Digital Workplace Conference, and I learned about the term tall poppies. Will you talk about that a little bit?
All right. So tall poppy syndrome is a thing where we don't so much celebrate people that stand out and achieve great success, and it's not really a thing if you're going around like sort of talking about how great you are and how much success you've had. There tends to be this thing of going, oh come on, we don't really show off like that as a culture, which can make it hard to achieve. But I think it's up to us to actually recognise and celebrate other people and what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Celebrate the underdogs and the winners. So thank you, Sonia, for sharing all of that with us. You're amazing.
Hey, my pleasure.
Absolutely. And now we're going to go back to the Ignite Live stage. Thanks, y'all.
Hello and welcome